Hey everyone, what's up and welcome to this really cool template starter. All right, so if you need a website and you're like, man, I'm tired of making the same stuff over and over, this might be very, very helpful for you. It's definitely been something I put a lot of time into to get it just how I like it, but it might also just fit your needs too. Let's take a look at it, okay? Basically, if we scroll through the home, it's really one page and a draft page. I'm sorry, not a draft page, but a styles page, which you can set to draft. But basically, we have like a pretty normal nav menu here. Where like, we got some action going on different things. We don't want it to be super boring by any means. The basic buttons, and if we look at it, it also works really well on tablet as well. Okay, pretty simple. Pretty simple. Just know if you change something on the top nav here, you will also have to change it here. I didn't quite make it where they're the same. Yeah, because I wanted to be within the same nav bar. What is kind of, so as far as the nav bar is concerned, let's just spend a second on that real quick. This nav bar, which you can totally, I would recommend turning it into a component later. But if you look at it, it's really broken down into like nav content here, on the left. Let's look at it on desktop. Nav content, which is this left side. The navigation items, which is that. And this later gets hidden on mobile. But then this is the mobile view, which is just hidden. And this nav background comes in whenever you start to scroll down. Okay, there we go. And it kind of inverts these colors here. So that way, yeah, it looks nice no matter where you scroll. And it looks good blending into the backgrounds. Okay. So then you see, let's just look at the difference of it real quick on mobile or on tablet. So then we see navigation items is still here, but we hid this nav wrap that had the links in it and showed this mobile nav button now. And so that button, when you click it, it's just a Lottie that plays, which is cool. I think I got it from LottieFlows.com. And then here's the mobile nav background that's shifted over to the side. So if you ever want to edit it, all you got to do is just hide the fact that it's moved out of the view. Okay, so there it shows up there. Then the nav background is the same. So that's it. That's really it. Now, I guess what you could do is you can hop in here and just see that in the mobile nav menu, we have like the links. And so this is where you would change these to correspond with the other one. And a separate button. So all this is just kind of its own little thing. Great, but let's hide that. So we're going to go back here, get out of here. Okay. So we also have, okay. So let's just take a look at each different piece. Within this, we have a background video going, a couple buttons, an outline versus a filled in one. And then I've like given everything like, I'll show you the different naming conventions I've used for all these, but they're all very simple headers and paragraphs, etc. The first section here is just a left align section where you might want to just say something without any visual, simple left align. Then we have another basic left align section. This is built to be more of like an intro, and this is just for something else left align. Here's a centered section. Here's a 3 grid. Here's a left an image on right, image on left. You can see we got a little parallax going, because it can't hurt. 4 column grid section, and then I put this fun one in here from Ty Creates because he rocks. This is just real fun. Okay, so you can, and this is an example. You can add whatever you want to this, but this is just to get you started. And then a nice little simple footer here with some cool little these, so if you need another one of these, you just copy paste it, change out the icon. And so that's like the general consensus of it. Now let's look at what the code looks like. Let's take a look here. So we have like home hero header and hero paragraph. Okay, so that would be consistent again on, I feel like the home hero header is sometimes different than every other header on any other page just because it's really trying to get that first message across, and sometimes you have to say more or less, whereas like page headers usually are just a couple words. So this might fluctuate depending on how much you have to say here. So it gets its own class name. We have everything's in a button wrap with the buttons. There's primary. They're both primary, but one has the tag of invert is build. Oh, I gotta fix those. I'll fix those. Anyway, it should just be a button and then outline. Oh, okay. But then we have this container is going to keep everything responsive on all the different uh, views here. So because you can see this container has a max width of like 1300, and then it grows to 1300. It's the same there, but when you get to 1920, it's at 1700. So it's kind of keeping everything looking good on all these different resolutions. But you can also see that we have a section. Is where it starts. There's some padding here using rims, 100 view width. Everything's aligned to the top. The container holds everything else. Puts a little gap in between everything of 1.5 rims. The left aligns it. And then within that container, we have this header extra large, fitted paragraph, a button wrap with the buttons. Okay. And everything's fairly similar. Over here, we have the section header. So this is great for just any section. You just use this for all the sections. This is a basic paragraph, just paragraph. I call it paragraph. And that's so I could take away the padding that comes with it, because we don't want that all the time. And then that. So again, section, container, header, paragraph, button. Okay, very similar. Same thing here. The only difference is that to make it centered, I added this class of is centered. And all that does is center align that. This paragraph is centered. So if you need something to be centered, just type in is centered, or just click next to the paragraph and you'll see this option pop up, is centered. And it's aligned, centered, and same with the button wrap, can also be aligned centered. It does it here. Okay, cool. So that's the only difference is so no centered, is centered. Then we have grids. So we need different grid layouts. We have 3 grids here. So this could be like a step section, like first step, second step, third, and there's a little spot for an icon. Card header is what I'm calling it. Card paragraph, because this could be slightly different than just a paragraph. And a primary button here to go somewhere. You can copy and paste whatever you need there, but all the sections are kind of built out there. And it's within a grid card wrap. So if you look here, we have 3 grid, and that has like this little rims in between. You can adjust it to 4 if you want, whatever. And then grid item, and within the grid item, we have, let's see, did I set that? Okay. Grid item, grid card wrap. Okay, and it's just 100 and 100 view width, or height and width. Then within that, we kind of left align everything into like card icons. This one has invert on it, so if you put it on a black section, you need it to be white, just take that off, or just get the right color that you need, Then we have like a left info section, because sometimes maybe instead of this being your intro, you may want something more like this with an image. And then sometimes you're kind of telling a story and you want to go from left to right. So that's available too. And again, it's just a section header and a paragraph. And then the same thing, button wrap. But within this grid image here, the thing I did to make it parallax is have a grid image wrap. Well, first we have 2 grid items. Okay. And so the only difference between this section and the one on the right is that I just moved these around, right? Simple as that. Within here, we have a grid image that's just filling the width and set to cover within the height of the grid image wrapper, which is 100% wide, 22 rims tall. So if you wanted to make this taller, this is how you would adjust it, but 22 seems to be about right, and it's responsive on all the other desktops of all the higher resolutions too. And then it's just set to overflow, so that way this image, no matter what happens to this image when it's moving, it never flows outside of this container. It like clips it off. So this is where you clip this image, right? Because this is just, this actually has a interaction on it here, parallax image. And what it's doing is it's scaling it. So it's making it 1.2. It's like increasing the size of the image. See how it's outside of that grid container, but like it works because that's clipping it with that container. And then it just moves it. So you need some room to move, so we have to clip it. Okay, so simple interaction there. Kind of nice. Nice little touch you could keep it on all your images. It'll look nice. So then the same thing in this section here, but we've switched them around. 4-column image. This could be good for blog posts or an image gallery or what have you, and you can just adjust it all here. Grid 4, rows 1, nothing crazy. Here's your gap. I set the width and height to just fill the spot here. This section is called section. So I mean, if you wanted to get this maybe to go all the way out, you could do. You can just figure it out. There's other ways. But yeah, that's kind of the idea there. And then this section is its own thing here, where again, section header tag, paragraph large. Now we're using paragraph large. So now on the footer is pretty cool. It's pretty simple, nothing to it. Yeah, pretty simple. So then if we go to the styles here, you can see how everything's laid out. There's colors first, typography. Okay, so we have our home hero header. We have our page header for like other pages. And honestly, I see it. I don't feel like that should be more often than not. It's like not needing to be capitalized. So let's just do that. Here's our header extra large. Okay, so if you need a real big statement, you can use that. And then here's your section header, and you can change this, and it's going to be responsive all over the place. So that's good. Okay, then we have a small paragraph used for maybe cards sometimes. I think we called it card paragraph, but let's just say, hey, you got a small one, you have a medium-sized one, or a regular size, and then a large, and if you really need it, an extra large, okay? If you don't, just don't use it. Now here's your rich text, and basically the only time you ever need an H1 in rich text is you don't really, so you just need it in like your hero section. So this is going to have an H2, which you can adjust by going here, clicking all H2s, and changing the size here if you want to, like, if you want it a little bigger, you can do that. Notice all these have a nice height of 1.1 dash, and that's just going to keep it from overlapping ever, like with the second line if you start typing more. See, that always looks nice. So that's good. And then your paragraph. Okay, so if you adjust a paragraph up here, right here, it's going to adjust these paragraphs. Here's your heading 3. Again, you just go up here, heading 3, heading 4, and heading 5. There's also, I think there's heading 6, but we don't have to worry about that. Sometimes with heading 6, I make it look like a button, and on hover, it kind of moves a little bit. That way, if you ever need a button in your rich text, you can just make it at H6. It's pretty cool. Unordered, here's your list. Okay, so you can see that within this, we just add a little padding above and below because it could go in between paragraphs and such. And then each list item has a little bit of pad or margin below each one. Here's a normal link. So by default, anything that isn't a link is going to be italic. But if you don't like that, just come in here and change it. Go to all links and change it back to normal, or just delete that. So, but I like that because I think that's nice in here. Whenever you have a link, to have a little italicized, and then you just got to tell everything else not to be every other link. So then a little bit of form stuff. Okay, we got a block quote and change it how you want it to look. Here's our buttons again. Cool. And then threw in some funny background videos in case you just, for some reason, needed this. Let's take a look. These are hilarious. Easy background video. Okay. Oh, get that out of there. Yeah, good. Fun background video. Why not? Okay. And that's really cool. What happened to this place? Is this a tree? Is this a rock? We're not sure. So that's pretty cool. Love that kind of stuff. All right, so that's it. There's your style guide. Now again, if you need to actually change these colors, with last thing here, we would go into our variables and just start changing them out here. And then, so say you change this, it will also change it elsewhere. Let's go ahead and change this here. So that looks nice. Okay. And then we'll go back to our page. And look, it's changed it out. So that's kind of helpful there. Okay, so I think that's all we got for now. And again, and also the last thing is the body background. This is probably pretty basic for most of y'all, but if not, you go to body and you can change all body pages. And this is where you can adjust your fonts. What font do you want to use? What font weight do you want to be normal, like standard, before you start changing things? So this would be how you change your rich text as well. So keep that in mind. And then here's the background color. So if we wanted it to be like a dark, we could do that and then go in here to font color, change it to white, and now everything's looking all, you don't have to change as much. Okay. Right. So we're gonna do that for now. Leave that alone. Go back. And that's it. So hopefully this is a nice little starter template that can really save you some time just having all these sections pre-built and ready on all the different resolutions with like a decent amount of padding on top and bottom. Not too much, not too little. You can always adjust it. So what's cool is if you do change it on this one section, guess what? You're gonna like all the others will change too. So maybe you just want more everywhere. That's okay. But anyway, that's it. So have fun with it. I hope it helps you out. Okay, see ya.